So it's been a little over a month since I actually switched to this gaming PC, and of course the only real thing that changed was the fact that I switched from a 4070 Ti to a 9070 XT 16 gig, specifically my favorite model, the Sapphire Nitro Plus. And I wanted to give you guys my, I guess, short-term review on what I've done so far with this AMD GPU, my thoughts on it with drivers, the software, and if I've done any tinkering or anything like that, because there has been actually a good amount of stuff that I've done over the month. And I'll give you guys my quick review as someone who's been using NVIDIA GPUs my whole life to now my first AMD GPU experience. So let's get right into it. All right, giving you guys a quick rundown of my setup in case you're new here and you haven't seen my setup before. This is my new PC, 7800X3D, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, Arctic Liquid Freezer 3, again 9070 XT, 850 watt power supply, and then of course the new Haven BF360. And then I'm gaming on a 240 Hz 1440p monitor that's OLED. And then that's pretty much it. Those are the main specs you got to know about. But the point of this video is, of course, talking about the AMD GPU. And starting off, the experience gaming-wise has pretty much been the exact same. I have been using FSR in games like Battlefield 6, and it's been pretty good. The only thing I really did want to point out with that Battlefield 6 mention is the fact that there were new drivers that came out for AMD GPUs for my 9070 XT, and for some reason, whenever I loaded up Adrenaline software, it said that I was up to date completely, and there's nowhere for me to really update the drivers because there were game-ready drivers for that game, and I didn't have them out just yet. So what I had to do is I had to basically uninstall Adrenaline, and then I had to go back to the website, reinstall the whole software suite, and then it moved me over to the newest driver version. I don't know why I didn't have like an option for me to, find that game-ready driver update, but I just couldn't find it for some reason. I don't know if it was a bug or a glitch or something like that, but that's the only real thing I wanted to mention for the software side. I have had one crash since I moved into this PC, and it did say it was a driver-related issue. I was on Apex for some reason. Apex is kind of weird sometimes, so it's not a surprise that the Apex actually crashed. But I've never had a crash before on my last PC, so that's one thing to mention. There was a new driver update that I needed to install, so I guess it just kind of messed up, and then it crashed that way. But on the software side, I've actually kind of liked Adrenaline. I will say, I feel like the new NVIDIA app is very, very straightforward. It's just just one stop. Like all I really mess with in the NVIDIA app is driver updates. With the Adrenaline software, you can actually do a good amount of stuff in it, and I actually have done some stuff in it just to kind of try some things out. I'm gonna pull it up right here. So with Adrenaline pulled up, I'm gonna give you guys kind of a quick rundown on Adrenaline if you have not seen it before. And what I like about it, what I don't like about it. Honestly, there really isn't anything I don't like about it. You have a nice homepage here with cool analytics. You have your driver version up here, so it kind of tells you what driver version you're on and stuff like that. It gives you some more notes and stuff like that too. We also have like an AI section. I don't really care about that. We have a gaming section, kind of more, you can actually specifically tune the graphics card to specific things for each game. And graphics and stuff like that. So you can get pretty intense on this stuff. From what I've seen though, I have had a couple people come in with repairs and their games are chopped for some reason because they mess with this stuff. So I leave it as is. I adjust my stuff in game on each specific game with settings. You also have a record and stream feature here that's built into the software, which I think is nice. Similar to NVIDIA's, but I think this one's pretty nice and easy. You have individual areas which you can kind of control for keybinds and stuff like that. I do want to set this up later. Performance tab, it's pretty cool. You have metrics so whenever you're in a game, you can kind of see what's going on with your, obviously your graphics card and everything going on with your integrated graphics. You also have tracking, which I have been using quite a bit, especially when I was setting things up, making sure everything looked nice and smooth. Then I wanted to track temperatures. This is all things you can kind of go in and like change for in specific, things you want to see. So there's all kinds of stuff. I have it set up pretty simple. Then you have your overlay, so you can change where it's at, how large it is, stuff like that. So this is a nice feature. And then you have your smart technology, which I don't have anything to really mention on this on. I haven't used it at all. So the software is super basic. That's literally all it is. And I mean, they did a good job. And aside from the weird issue with the game-ready drivers for Battlefield 6, I haven't noticed anything different. It says I'm up to date. It says it's checked on the 21st, which is today. Now, one of the things that I do have to mention with AMD GPUs, for some reason, I've noticed this ever since I got mine, and I only noticed it whenever I started playing Battlefield 6 because it truly maxed out the GPU. For some reason they have coil whine, and a lot of them do have this. I looked up a couple people and their testimonies and stuff, and they also mentioned that there is coil whine with their card. Some people get lucky, some people don't, but I feel like the amount of cards that have coil whine is worse with AMD GPUs for some reason. I don't know why, but maybe that's something that they're kind of having to work on a little bit. So what I did is I pretty much looked it up, and you can kind of help offset this with undervolting your GPU. Now, if you want to go through and spend like 3 hours going in, adding up some boost and stuff like that, and min-maxing your GPU, you can do that, and I'm sure you're gonna net more performance for less voltage. But it's a lot of going back and forth on testing softwares like Steel Nomad and stuff like that, and I don't have time for that. I don't care. But I did just want to help kind of offset that noise because it was pretty noticeable. So basically what I did is I basically just dropped the power limit by 10%, and then I also changed the voltage offset by like, I've been messing with it around like 75 to 80, and that's really all I've done. And you can get really advanced with this stuff. What I like about it though is the fact that you can adjust this on the fly for your GPU, and it works. And it does help the coil whine a little bit. I did some more testing, and it's just a small amount less noticeable when it's fully ramped up, obviously because it's not at the 100% max. So again, I don't notice a performance loss by dropping the power by 10%. So I mean, without a performance loss, I think it's kind of like a no-brainer. So that's kind of what I have it set at. Down the road, I might make my own custom, like actually min-max setup with undervolting. But honestly, I really don't care because I'm hitting 240 hertz in most games, especially with FSR, so I don't see the point really. And aside from the things that I have mentioned about, I don't see why so many people just default to NVIDIA, because it really is a good value, especially if you can get it close to MSRP, which is like 600 bucks. This is a really good card, and it does beat out and kind of rival the 5070 Ti for $150 cheaper. So there's definitely value here. And if you don't go with like a beefy card like I did, you can definitely save some money, and you can get a really good experience for 1440p gaming. But that's gonna wrap up my 1 month update with my AMD GPU. I think if you are kind of in the space and you are willing to kind of tinker and do stuff like that, I think the AMD software gives you the option to pretty easily. So if you ever wanted to kind of delve down that rabbit hole and try certain things out, an AMD GPU makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. And I feel like, especially if you're wanting to save some money, it's a really good way to do that without sacrificing performance whatsoever, especially nowadays with just better support overall for encoding and stuff like that. No issues to report whatsoever, aside from the 1 or 2 that I mentioned, but overall it's been like I'd say like a 9 out of 10 experience. Coil whine kind of sucks, but again, that's not like gonna be hindering the performance of the card itself. So it's just a small gripe, especially since I have like the goal for a perfectly quiet PC with like set fan curves, and like I've dialed that in too. So it's like, that's just a small thing that my personal self is like nitpicking on, but aside from that, it's been a great time. And yeah, I might give you guys another update down the road on maybe like a year from now, my full experience with it, and if I'm gonna be switching back to NVIDIA next time. It honestly kind of comes down to what's gonna be coming out in the future and how the graphics card market is gonna change from here, because prices could very much change and increase a lot with the whole AI thing. And on top of that, the availability when they come out will also be different too. So it's gonna be all over the place, but thanks for watching again if you all did. We'll see you guys next time and next Friday. Peace.